Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today with a simple but powerful message. Stop scrolling. Yes, I said it. Stop scrolling. We live in an age where we are bombarded with distractions, constantly swiping, tapping, and scrolling as if our lives depend on it. And for some of us, it feels like we cannot go a single moment without checking our phones, checking for the next piece of entertainment, validation, or approval. But I want to ask you today, in the midst of all that scrolling, have you stopped to hear from God? In today's world, we are constantly surrounded by distractions. From the moment we wake up to the moment we lay our heads down to rest, we've become so accustomed to scrolling through endless feeds on our phones, watching videos, and engaging in endless conversations online that it often feels like we can't go a minute without checking our devices. But I want to challenge you today. Stop scrolling. Yes, stop. Put the phone down for a moment, take a deep breath, and focus on something deeper, your purpose in this life. Many people today are caught in a cycle of busyness. They rush from one task to another, always on the go. But what are they really achieving? We often confuse activity with productivity. Just because we are busy doesn't mean we are fulfilling our true calling. Life is not about keeping yourself occupied with tasks that don't align with your purpose. It's not about chasing after the next trend or the latest piece of entertainment. Life is about alignment, aligning your actions, thoughts, and heart with the purpose you were created for. You see, each one of us has been uniquely designed by God. Every part of you was intentionally created, and there is a purpose that only you can fulfill. Too many people live their entire lives without ever discovering what they are truly meant to do. They let the noise of the world distract them from the truth that lies within them. But I'm here to remind you today that you are not here by accident. You were created with a divine intention, and your life has meaning far beyond the fleeting distractions that often consume your time. The reason you are here on this earth is not to be endlessly busy. You were made to do something significant. You were made to impact the world in a way that only you can. God has placed specific gifts, talents, and abilities within you that no one else has. The problem, however, is that we often lose sight of this purpose because we get caught up in the noise. The constant scrolling through social media, the endless notifications, and the pressure to keep up with everyone around us. But in the midst of all of this, there is a quiet whisper from within, a whisper from God, reminding you of who you are and what you are meant to do. I encourage you to stop for a moment right now and ask yourself, what is my purpose? What has God placed in my heart that I'm meant to give to the world? You don't need to search for your purpose by scrolling through endless feeds or listening to others tell you what you should do. Your purpose is already within you, planted by the Creator of the universe. But you must be willing to stop scrolling through distractions long enough to listen. God is calling you to a higher level of awareness. He wants you to be present, to truly see and understand what He has placed within you. This world will try to define you by its standards, but those standards are fleeting. They are temporary, like a wave crashing on the shore. They change with every trend, with every new update, but your purpose, your true calling, remains constant. It is an anchor that holds you steady even in the stormiest of time. And that is where your strength lies, not in following the crowd, but in following the path that God has uniquely carved out for you. This path is not always easy. Sometimes it means stepping away from the distractions and pressures of the world. It means resisting the pull of conformity and daring to be different. It means embracing the gifts God has given you even when they don't fit into the mold that others expect of you. But I promise you, it is worth it. When you align your life with your purpose, you will experience a peace and fulfillment that surpasses any fleeting pleasure that comes from scrolling through social media or chasing after temporary trends. Think about the times when you felt most alive, most at peace with yourself. Was it when you were caught in a whirlwind of activity, constantly distracted and busy? Or was it when you were fully engaged in something that brought you joy, something that aligned with your deepest values and passions? That feeling of being fully present, fully alive, is what happens when you step into the purpose God has for you, But you can't do that if you're constantly distracted. You cannot live with intention if you're always chasing after the next piece of entertainment or validation. You were created for more than just filling your time with endless scrolling. You were created to walk in purpose, to live a life of meaning that impacts the world around you in ways only you can. So I implore you today, take a step back from the distractions, stop scrolling, and start listening. God has a message for you. He has been trying to speak to your heart all along, but the noise has drowned him out. Take the time to find stillness, quiet your mind, listen. Your purpose is waiting for you to claim it, and the only way you will hear it is if you stop scrolling and focus on what truly matters. It's time to stop being busy for the sake of being busy. It's time to align your life with the purpose you were meant to fulfill. And it starts with choosing to step away from the distractions and find clarity in God's calling for your life. You are here for a reason, and the world needs you to step into that purpose with all of your heart. Don't let another moment slip by. Stop scrolling. Start living with purpose. The world today has become obsessed with labels. It wants to define us by external markers, by how we look, what we own, who we know, and even by how many followers or likes we get on social media. Everywhere we turn, we are faced with comparisons. We are told that to be valuable, we must measure up to certain standards. Standards that constantly change, depending on the latest trends or popular opinions. But let me tell you today, your identity is not defined by trends. Your true identity is not found in the fleeting, surface-level opinions of the world. It is anchored in something far deeper and far more permanent, God. You were created in His image, and your worth and value are rooted in who you are as His child. The world may tell you that your worth depends on how many likes your post gets or how many people follow your journey, but these external validations are temporary, and they are not who you truly are. You are not your social media profile. You are not the filtered image that others see online. You are not defined by the number of followers or the likes on your pictures. These things are only reflections of a moment, not the essence of who you are. What the world sees in those brief moments online is not the full story of your worth, and it certainly doesn't capture the true depth of your identity. In a society where appearances are often prioritized, it's easy to forget that real value lies within. Your worth does not come from how well you fit into the latest trends or how much attention you can attract from the masses. The world may try to tell you that your value is determined by external factors, how you look, how much you have, or how popular you are. But none of these things are what truly define you. Your identity is rooted in your Creator. You are a unique masterpiece, fearfully and wonderfully made, with a purpose that goes beyond the superficial. The problem with defining ourselves by external standards is that they are constantly shifting. One moment you may be celebrated, the next you may be forgotten. Popularity can be fleeting and opinions change with the wind. But your identity in Christ remains unshakable, regardless of the trends or the opinions of others. You were created with eternal value, and that value cannot be determined by the world's ever-changing standards. When you allow the world to define you by its standards, you end up chasing after things that will never satisfy. The desire for more followers, more attention, more validation. These things will never bring the peace and fulfillment you are searching for. But when you embrace your true identity in Christ, you are free from the chains of comparison. You are free from the need to constantly measure up to the world's expectations. You are free to be who you were always meant to be, regardless of what anyone else thinks. In moments when you feel the pressure to conform, remember that your value doesn't come from the outside world. It comes from within, from the God who created you. When God looks at you, He sees a beloved child, chosen, equipped, and empowered for a purpose that only you can fulfill. The world may try to impose its standards on you, but you must remember that your worth is not based on those standards. It is based on your Creator, who made you with love, purpose, and eternal value. Your social media profile doesn't define you. Your likes and followers don't define you. The clothes you wear, the car you drive, the house you live in, none of these things define you. What defines you is the truth that you are a child of God, created with love and destined for greatness. You are a person of eternal worth, not because of anything you've done or how the world sees you, but because of who you are in Christ. When you embrace this truth, it changes everything. It frees you from the need for approval from others. It frees you from the pressure to keep up with trends or to constantly seek validation from the world around you. Your identity is secure, not in the opinions of others, but in the unchanging truth of who you are in God's eyes. You are precious. You are loved. You are enough just as you are, and nothing in this world can take that away. So the next time you find yourself comparing your life to someone else's, or when you feel the pressure to fit into the mold that society is trying to create for you, pause. Remind yourself of the truth. You are not your social media profile, your likes, or your followers. You are a creation of God with eternal value and a purpose that only you can fulfill. Your identity is not shaped by trends or external opinions. It is anchored in God's love and the truth of who He says you are. And that truth will never change. In our modern world, we are constantly connected through our phones, our computers, social media, and a never-ending stream of notifications. We are always busy, always engaged, and always plugged in. On the surface, it might seem like this level of connection brings us closer to each other, but in reality, it can create a deeper sense of loneliness. The more we scroll, the more we look for external validation, the more disconnected we become from the true source of fulfillment, our relationship with God. Technology has given us the illusion of connection, but this connection is often shallow and fleeting. While we may have hundreds, even thousands of friends or followers online, how many of those relationships are truly deep? How many of those interactions truly nourish your soul and help you grow? In a world where everyone is constantly posting and sharing, it's easy to feel like we're connecting. But in reality, we're often just filling up empty space with noise. We spend hours scrolling, liking, commenting, and reading, but at the end of the day, we find ourselves feeling more isolated, more disconnected, and more empty. This whirlwind of constant activity can become a trap, a distraction that keeps us from the stillness and quietness where true connection and peace are found. We get so caught up in the busyness of our lives and the constant flow of information that we lose sight of what truly matters. We forget that God speaks to us not in the noise of the world, but in the quiet moments when we take time to listen. The world might tell you that being busy, always on the go, and always connected is the way to live. But in reality, this busyness can rob you of the peace and clarity that come from stillness. There is power in quiet moments. Moments when we step away from the chaos and distractions and give ourselves the space to hear from God. It is in these moments of stillness that we can hear His voice most clearly, when we are no longer overwhelmed by the constant pull of the world around us. When we slow down, when we disconnect from the noise, we create room for God to speak into our lives in a way that changes everything. But it requires intention. You must choose to stop scrolling, to pause the endless notifications, and to be present in the moment. In a world that constantly demands your attention, taking time for stillness is an act of defiance against the distractions of this age. It's a declaration that you are not going to be ruled by the constant barrage of messages, updates, and trends. You are going to take control of your focus and make space for the things that matter. In those quiet moments, you can reconnect with your purpose, realign yourself with your values, and hear the guidance that God is offering you. It's in stillness that clarity comes. It's in silence that you can hear the whispers of God's love, His direction, and His plans for your life. But in order to hear Him, you must be willing to step away from the noise. There's a powerful verse in the Bible that says, "Be still and know that I am God." This verse is a reminder that the noise of the world, the distractions, the busyness, they are not where we find peace. True peace comes when we stop, when we make time to be still, and when we allow ourselves to be fully present in the moment. The world is always trying to pull us in 1,000 different directions, but in the stillness, God's voice is the one that brings us true comfort, direction, and peace. I challenge you today to examine your own life and ask yourself, are you too busy? Are you allowing the distractions of the world to take away your ability to be present with God? Are you filling every moment with noise, thinking that it will make you more connected or fulfilled, when in reality it's making you feel more disconnected and empty? Don't get caught up in the whirlwind of constant scrolling and notifications. Stop and take time to seek moments of stillness. Disconnect from the distractions of the world and connect with the one who created you. Seek him in the quiet moments, for that is where God speaks. He is not found in the noise of the world. He is found in the peace and stillness of your heart. Remember, you are not defined by how much you do or how busy you are. You are defined by your relationship with God. When you stop scrolling, when you stop filling every moment with busyness, you create space for that relationship to grow. And in that space, you will find peace, clarity, and the strength to move forward in the purpose God has for your life. In the midst of the constant noise, chaos, and distractions of everyday life, it can often feel as though God's voice is drowned out. The world is loud. It pulls us in 1,000 different directions with constant demands, pressures, and expectations. The noise never stops. Whether it's the ringing of notifications, the endless chatter from social media, or the demands of work, school, and relationships, amidst all this, how can we possibly hear God's voice? How can we discern his guidance when the world is shouting so loudly? But here's the truth. God's message for you is not drowned out by the noise of the world. His voice is not weak or easily silenced by the distractions that surround us. In fact, God's communication with you is constant and clear, even in the most chaotic environments. However, the issue lies not in the volume of his voice, but in our ability to hear it. God's message is always present, but we often fail to listen because we are so focused on the noise around us. To hear from God, you must be willing to pause. You must be willing to stop, to silence the noise, and to create space to listen. God speaks not in the rush of life, but in the stillness of your soul. His voice is not a loud shout to get your attention. Instead, it is a gentle whisper, a quiet prompt in your heart that invites you to come closer and hear his truth. The problem is that many of us are so caught up in the whirlwind of activity that we miss it. We are so busy filling our lives with noise, whether it's through work, entertainment, or social media, that we fail to take the time to hear the still, small voice of God. It takes intentionality to pause in this fast-paced world. It takes a conscious decision to quiet the distractions and create moments of peace. But when you make that choice, when you make the space to listen, you will begin to hear God speak to you in ways that you may have never experienced before. It is in these quiet moments that he will guide you, comfort you, and reveal to you the next steps in your journey. His voice may not always come in the dramatic ways we expect. It's often in the stillness that he reveals his will for our lives. But to hear him, you have to be willing to stop. You have to be willing to let go of the constant rush and busyness. God is not waiting for you to do more. He is waiting for you to slow down and be still. The key is in the stillness. It's in those moments when you pause, take a breath, and quiet the noise that God speaks most clearly. The world will always be noisy. The demands on your time will never stop. The distractions will always be there, vying for your attention. But you have control over whether you let them overwhelm you or whether you choose to listen for God's voice. God is not far away. He is near and he is speaking. But are you willing to listen? God is not asking you to figure everything out on your own. He is not asking you to rush through life or to be consumed by the endless noise. Instead, he is inviting you into a relationship where you can hear his guidance and experience his peace. The more you quiet the distractions of your life, the more you will hear his voice. And when you hear it, you will be able to walk with confidence, knowing that you are being guided by the one who knows you better than God speaks in the stillness, in the moments of calm. When you take the time to pause and listen, you open yourself up to receiving his direction, his love, and his wisdom. So I ask you today, are you willing to stop and listen for his voice? Are you willing to silence the noise, to step away from the distractions, and to listen for the whispers of God that are already speaking to your heart? Remember, God's message for you is always present. It's not hidden or lost in the noise of the world. It's waiting for you to stop, to be still, and to listen. When you do, you will discover that he has been speaking to you all along, guiding you with love, wisdom, and grace. Take the time today, in the midst of the busyness and noise, to pause, to listen, and to hear His voice. There is a divine urgency over your life, a calling that is uniquely yours, a purpose that is waiting for you to step into. Too often we allow ourselves to get caught up in distractions, endless scrolling through social media, getting lost in trivial pursuits, and wasting precious time. But every moment spent aimlessly scrolling, every moment spent lost in the noise of the world, is a moment you could be aligning with your true purpose. There is an urgency in God's call, and the time to step into that calling is now. God's timing is perfect. He has designed a specific plan for your life, one that only you can fulfill. You are not here by accident, and your life is not random. God has placed you on this earth for a reason, and He has given you gifts, talents, and experiences that are meant to fulfill His divine purpose. But the question is, are you ready to step into it? Are you ready to stop wasting time on distractions and start walking in the destiny that God has prepared for you? The world will always try to pull your attention in different directions, telling you that you need to be busy, that you need to keep up with the latest trends, or that you need to focus on the next big thing. But God is calling you to something greater. He is calling you to align your life with His purpose, to use the time you have wisely, and to make a real impact in the world around you. You see, every moment is an opportunity. Every moment is a chance to move closer to your purpose. But when we allow ourselves to get lost in the distractions, we miss out on the opportunities that are right in front of us. The distractions keep us from living intentionally, from being present in the moment, and from embracing the life God has called us to. It's time to recognize the urgency of your calling and to take action. God's plan for your life is not something that can be put off. It's not something that can be delayed or postponed indefinitely. There is a reason why you are alive at this moment, in this time, in this season. The world is waiting for the unique gifts that only you can bring, the impact that only you can make. The question is, are you willing to step into that purpose, or will you allow the distractions of the world to rob you of the opportunity? It's easy to think that there's always more time. We convince ourselves that we can always start tomorrow, or that we can always catch up later. But the truth is, the longer we put off answering God's call, the more we delay the fulfillment of our purpose. God's timing is perfect, but we have to be willing to move when He calls. We have to be ready to take action when He opens the door. If we waste too much time scrolling, distracting ourselves with things that don't matter, we risk missing the moment when God is calling us to step forward. So, I ask you today, are you ready to step into the life God has called you to? Are you ready to stop allowing distractions to control your time and to start living with intention, purpose, and urgency? God is calling you right now. He has a plan for your life, and He is waiting for you to step into it. Don't wait another minute. Don't let the distractions of the world keep you from fulfilling your divine purpose. The time is now. In the world we live in today, our attention is constantly being pulled in 1,000 different directions. Every swipe, every notification, every alert demands a piece of our focus, and it's easy to get caught in the whirlwind of distractions. But if we want to live the lives we were created to live, lives filled with purpose, clarity, and divine direction, we must stop scrolling and regain control over our attention. Your mind is an incredibly powerful tool, one that has the ability to shape your life in profound ways. The way you choose to focus your thoughts and energy will determine your destiny. What you focus on grows. When you fix your mind on the distractions of the world, you'll find yourself lost in a sea of noise, constantly pulled away from your true purpose. But when you choose to focus on what really matters, on the message God has for you today, your life will begin to transform. God has a message for you right now, in this very moment. He is speaking to you. But the question is, are you listening? The distractions of the world are designed to pull your attention away from the divine, to keep you from hearing the call that God has placed on your life. But you have the power to choose where you focus your attention. You can choose to redirect your energy toward the message that God is offering you today. And when you do, breakthroughs will happen. We often think that breakthrough comes from doing more or from constantly chasing after the next big thing. But in reality, breakthroughs come when we intentionally quiet the distractions, center ourselves, and focus on what truly matters. It's in those moments of focused attention, when we choose to prioritize God's voice over the noise of the world, that we open ourselves up to divine breakthroughs. When you stop scrolling, when you stop allowing the constant bombardment of distractions to dictate where your attention goes, you regain control. You take charge of your focus and choose to redirect it toward the things that will lead to growth, clarity, and purpose. And that's when God can move in powerful ways. Think about the times in your life when you've experienced the most clarity, the most peace, or the most profound insights. Was it when you were scattered and distracted, trying to multitask and keep up with everything around you? Or was it when you were focused, when you took time to center yourself, quiet your mind, and listen for God's voice? That focused attention has the power to unlock doors, to provide wisdom, and to reveal God's will for your life. Focus is a choice. It's an intentional decision to cut through the distractions and hone in on what really matters. When you focus your attention on God's message, on His guidance, and on His plan for your life, you align yourself with divine purpose. You stop chasing after fleeting things and instead pour your energy into the things that have eternal value. And when you do this, you'll see breakthroughs in areas of your life where you've been struggling. You'll experience peace, clarity, and direction like never before. So today I challenge you. Stop scrolling. Take a step back from the distractions. Focus your attention on the message God has for you right now. Redirect your energy toward the divine and watch as breakthroughs begin to unfold in your life. When you intentionally choose to focus on what truly matters, you position yourself to receive the guidance, wisdom, and blessings that God has in store for you. Your destiny is shaped by where you place your focus, and when you focus on God, your life will begin to reflect His perfect plan for you. As we come to the close of this moment, I want to leave you with this thought. You are not here by accident. You are not just another face in the crowd scrolling through life, aimlessly passing time. You are a creation with purpose, and every moment you waste in distraction is a moment you could be aligning with the divine purpose God has placed within you. The world is full of noise, but God's voice is waiting for you to pause, to listen, and to step into your calling with urgency. Your identity is not defined by trends, likes, or external validation, but by the eternal value God has placed in you. You have a destiny to fulfill, a purpose to live out, and a message that the world needs. But to hear that message, to walk in that purpose, you must take control of your attention, prioritize what matters, and stop allowing the distractions of this world to rob you of your time. Remember this, you are called for a time such as this. There is a divine urgency over your life. God's timing is perfect and His plan for you is intentional. But the question is, are you ready to step into it? Are you willing to stop scrolling and start living with purpose, aligning yourself with the call that God has placed on your life? Today I challenge you to reclaim your focus, to redirect your energy toward the divine, and to answer the call with urgency. You are more than the sum of your distractions. You are more than the likes and followers. You are a unique, powerful individual with a divine purpose. When you begin to prioritize God's message for you, when you take the time to be still, to focus and to listen, breakthroughs will happen. It's time to stop scrolling and start living. Your purpose is waiting for you, and it's time to step into the life God has called you to. The power to create your destiny lies in your hands, and it begins with the choice to focus your attention on what truly matters. Choose wisely, because where you place your focus today will shape the future of your tomorrow. God bless you, and may you walk boldly into the purpose He has set before you.